Okay, we are back, and this is our last 90 minutes of our little mini retreat. If you are feeling like it wasn't long enough, well, good news, we'll do it again in October. And also the recordings will be archived. And the idea is to make just a little platform for anybody who wants to dive into their own practice with a little extra oomph to give a start there. So we are going to do a sit for about 21 minutes. And there's a reason if y'all are beginners or re-invoking or learning new things here, there's a reason we've been doing short sessions thus far. And that's part of how I teach people to begin their meditation practice, because often we can naturally do some savoring for like 5 minutes, many of us. Sometimes we can't, that's okay too. But when you start to stretch that to doing it for 20 minutes, it eventually evokes the need to use other tools, other muscles than the ones we want to strengthen. Kind of like if you're working out and you're like, okay, when you do this exercise correctly, it'll hit this muscle, this muscle, this muscle. But then after you fatigue, you start to recruit all this other stuff that you're not trying to get to. That's what we want to avoid in our meditation. We want to be using the mental muscles we're trying to target. And so often that means, hey, resource for 5 minutes. And then some of us, if we start feeling good for 5 minutes, we might get really uncomfortable if we go any longer than that. So, hey, just feel good for 5 minutes. Get the brain used to that process. And similarly, we want to train, so the next we'll do more of a traditional focusing exercise. And we want to be doing that from the savoring or from the placement of attention, which has this very earth element quality, right? You're setting the attention down on the object. And ideally, that will become very refreshing. That when I teach people breathing meditation for the last number of years, I found it works really well to let them know, no, it's not that you have to keep your attention on your breath for the next 20 minutes. It's that you don't have to do anything but be mindful of your breath for the next 20 minutes. And that's what when it works, that's why it works, is that the mind goes, oh, I don't have to plan. I don't have to rehash memories. I don't have to, I'm just going to go exhale and then inhale. But when we're beginners, if we try to do that for too long, we'll stop doing that. And we'll have to either toggle, like, oh, thinking again, get back to your breath. Or we'll have to kind of like use this like kind of fixation muscle instead of this placement mental muscle. Does that make sense? A little bit? Okay, so the best focus comes from a relaxed mind, not from a mind that we've tensed into staying on the object or else. So the practice that I would like to, I said all that stuff about breath meditation. We're going to do a practice that's aligned with the breath, but it's not just mindfulness of breathing. The practice I'd like to share with you is using the mantra calm, using the mantra that says calm. And it has that autogenic suggestion element because it's a word that means something. It means calm, right? So this is while we sit, if your mind starts to go like, oh, hey, don't forget, we're going to go see the movie later. It's a spinoff from She-Hulk. And I don't know how they made it so fast, but we got to go see it. And then the mind will blah, 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 blah. That we recognize that that's a form of tension, and we calm, we relax back from that mental activity. And then similarly, any of the other stirrings of the mind, they come up and we go, calm. And then if there are no stirrings of the mind coming up, we also say calm. So I'm saying this out loud, but you'll be saying this inside. It's an inner sonic meditation. So I'm sitting here. On my exhales, I will internally say calm. So it's a word that means something, but it's also a sonic meditation. It sounds very much like Om, or in the Tibetan system, sometimes they'll use the syllable Hung, because they have this sonic quality that's like, relax. But relax, I don't know, the X doesn't do it for me. So calm really works for me. You might find something else works for you, and that's fine. But we'll be using this, and feel free, like I said before, the disclaimer is, if this doesn't work for you, do something else. Don't do anything. Take a nap, whatever. But if you'd like to try, that's the method. It's exhale, and on the inside, you hear or say to yourself, calm, for the length of your exhale. Okay, for time today, we're going to stack functions with another meditation. You could do that just by itself, or you could do this thing I'm about to tell you by itself. We're going to link them so that we can get a 2-for-1 for this session. So this other one is called Earth Meditation, and it's very similar to what we did at the end of our Yoga Nidra, where I guided, okay, feel how you relax, and then feel like the heaviness of gravity sinking you down into the surface you're on. Was anybody awake for that? I'm trying to remember if I actually said that. Okay. Yeah, I usually do. So it's very similar, except for now we'll be in our meditation posture, sitting in a chair or on the floor. You could do this reclining. The danger just is that you might pass out. You could even do these standing if necessary, or walking. That takes a little more, it's a little more advanced, but you could do these standing up if that worked for you. I have used that sometimes if I'm really tired, but I've been trying to do a consistent meditation. I will stand up, do my practice. That's kind of for weirdos like me, though. But whatever position. And then in the earth meditation, you're going to feel as if you set your skeleton and your fascia, the tensegrity structure, so it'll just set, doop. And then you want to let all the musculature relax. And you want to feel as if gravity turns up. And as you exhale, you drop and surrender more into gravity. And then you'll inhale, and you're not really doing anything for the inhales. And then when you exhale, you'll drop and surrender more into gravity. And then you'll inhale. Your posture's still upright, but you're dropping and surrendering even more into gravity. Yeah, and I can tell some of you are doing that now because it really shifts you fast. I can tell by the facial expression, just down. So we're going to link these two. I'm going to set up my posture. When I exhale inside, I say calm, and I feel that down into the earth. Almost like the tension in your body was like water, and it flowed out through your feet and just permeated into the earth, permeated into the earth, permeated into the earth. Okay, is that clear enough to be able to practice? Anything confusing in there that we should clarify? No. Great. I'm going to set my little timer like I forgot to do on my break when I meditated. We're going to do a 20-minute session. So I'm going to get you in, set you up. In the middle, I'll come in and give instructions again. So don't be startled in case you go real deep. This is your warning. I'll occasionally butt in and be like, remember to stay calm. And that'll be fun. So find your posture in a chair, sitting cross-legged on the floor, standing up on the couch. You could even lie down. If you fall asleep, that's fine. We'll mute you if you snore. So, but you want that tensegrity structure so that you can feel that it's somewhat effortless to park the body, All right, I'm already sighing. So maybe you'll want to take a couple of sighs with me. And let's try a couple of those 2-1 ratio breaths if you'd like. and letting the breath return to its normal rhythm. And let's start right at the beginning with seeing if there's a dedication or a resolve that we have for this practice. Like, what would you like to get out of this practice? Or how might you like to benefit? You could also think, how might you like to bring yourself to this practice? A little resolve. I'm going to bring myself back to those instructions gently when I remember. And you can use that as a way to just bring yourself back, making sure your posture is gently upright. And then when you're ready, without modifying the breath, just note when you inhale, savor and enjoy your inhale as much as you'd like. And on the exhale, you'll internally silently say that word, calm. And with each exhale, we're just allowing the body to grow more and more relaxed as we intone that instruction within, calm. And you could just stick with that if you liked, but let's try the earth element, or the, what's it called? Earth meditation. Let's try the earth meditation if that intrigues you. And so having your body parked in its position of repose, feel the surface on which you're sitting or lying. Feel into the earth and that sense of the pull of gravity. And when you exhale, imagine like you can release tension from the body down, almost like it's a type of water that flows out from your body and into the earth. And this will start with releasing tension down. Then eventually you might feel like, oh, I'm not so tense. But it's the same thing with releasing our attention down. It may even begin to feel like you had deep roots under the earth, or like your mind was rooted down below the earth. And you could feel free to just enjoy that method. For those who like, we'll combine these two methods. So as you exhale, we're intoning within calm. And as we do, we're letting the awareness travel down and tension release out through the whatever part of you is touching the floor or chair into the earth. Calm. And on the inhales, you're just inhaling. Just take note of your mind. Note whether it's still doing the practice or whether it's wandered somewhere. If it's wandered off somewhere, you don't need to chastise it in any way. You can just come back and direct your attention to the practice. Calm and or relaxing down into the earth. Once again, just gently check your mind. See if you need to bring it back to the object of meditation. You might also need to check your posture and reestablish that position of repose. then letting go of that meditation method, but stay in your posture. Just take a moment to notice your body, breath, and mind. You can note any change of state, or just be with the noticing, simple awareness. And then perhaps call to mind that sense of dedication or resolve. May these practices we've engaged in be of benefit to me. Perhaps even may they ripple out and benefit those around me in some subtle or tangible way. Whatever type of dedication feels good or makes sense to you. When you're ready, begin to deepen your breath. And give your mind the suggestion to begin to transition from any deep states it might have entered into and back toward a more conventional awareness and interpersonal awareness. Take a couple more sighs. When you're ready, you can move your body, you can stretch out. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And we'll take about a 1-minute break just to transition. So if you need to go get a drink of water or something like that, then take that momentary transition and we'll be back in about a minute, minute and a half, and just discuss and learn another practice. All right, so come on back as you are willing and able and ready. And let's just debrief from that last one. How'd that feel? Groovy? How you doing? Feeling good? Okay. So now we can play. Yeah, that's water, not coffee. It's past 3:30. I don't mess around. Well, because I work tomorrow morning, so we don't mess around with bedtime around here, which is a great segue to our next topic. But let's hear any commentary or questions on that practice. So we combined two methods, which were the calm and the earth meditation. What do you think? Did anyone enjoy both of those methods? I don't know. Was that a no, Zoe? Or was that a yes? All I saw was a rainbow. Okay. I can't hear you. You seem to be muted.
Just very simply and very succinctly, that was a very powerful meditation.
Wonderful. Yeah, and we have some folks who are used to meditating, so 20 minutes is not intimidating. And so then, you can just drop right in.
But it's always so new each time. I'm very experienced meditator, but it's always so new, and I'm always a baby in the becoming. So
yeah, beautiful. Beginner's mind. Let's
right.
get there. Okay, so some of us liked both. Did anybody only like one of those practices? Anybody like, I like the earth, but I'm not doing calm. Okay. That's okay. It'll happen sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, do calm, and then you'll try it and it'll trigger you for some unknown reason, that you don't find out until 3 years later in therapy. My swim instructor told me to calm down once and I won't. Okay. Just do the earth meditation, man. It's fine. Like, no problem. So, but it looks like most of us enjoyed both of those and groovy. So, like we said before, for review, I was combining methods there because they go well together, but those are also individual methods that one could use on their own. Master Jim, what do you say?
Dropped right in. About 5 minutes in, I went blank.
Mm-hmm.
I just, until you said come back.
A little personal vacation.
I heard you move the microphone occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But only one time did a stray thought wander in. And it was weird. Another thought came in to not to chastise it, but they had a little conversation, and then it just, I said the word calm again, and poof.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that method works for you.
Yes.
It's nice.
And I like the grounding method also. So
yeah. That's one of the points that I do want to emphasize in this Earth Day. Every day is Earth Day, but this is our Earth Element Retreat, is find the methods that work for you. This is okay. Secretly, if you haven't picked up, these classes are like everything I wish they'd taught me in my first meditation class. And one of the things is like, hopefully I'll give you like 5 things to choose from, and at least one of them will work for you and feel totally groovy. Do that. Start where you are strong and then move into some other stuff. But, for some folks, you might just spend the rest of your life doing one method that feels good and you're really good at. Totally great. And you'll make so much progress that way. And it's kind of a modern take on things, partially because in the olden days, whether in Tibet or Europe or something like that, well, for the large part of the populace, they weren't meditating. They were participating in religious services, but not necessarily meditating. That's for monks. But even amidst the monks, what methods you end up with depends on who's in your valley. Because, you're not going to travel from Germany to Italy. You're not going to travel from this Kagyu Valley over to where they're practicing Nyingma stuff. Like that didn't happen in the ancient world. And people still attained delicious meditative experiences. But one advantage that we may have as moderners, well, one, a lot more of us get to practice, and we can select methods that will work for our unique situation because we are unique individuals. So please take that from this. If one of these methods work, that's great. Or if it just inspires you to go like the method that worked for me, and I don't really do it anymore, was transcendental meditation, TM trademark. And I had like tried the struggle version of meditation that I'd been taught and never figured out why anybody would want to do that. Like I had motivation that somebody told me it was going to make me enlightened or something. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But when I learned TM, they were like, no, you just do the mantra. And then, your thoughts will wander and then you just come back to your mantra. And the first time I did it was the most relaxing thing ever. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, this is why people would want to like intrinsically motivated to meditate, not just because, like God said you should or something, whatever reason I was doing it for. And so I hope that you can find that for you. Maybe it's Tai Chi. Maybe you never sit to meditate ever in your life, and that's fine. Find the one that brings calm and nourishment and stability, and you'll be having a good time. Let's see. What do I mean by making progress when meditating? Isn't part of the point not to strive? Well, meditation, this is an ancient debate, which we do not have time to do justice to, but for the quick question, in Buddhism, they call this the debate between the sudden and gradual schools of thought. And so the sudden schools would be like, hey, your nature is innately relaxed and open, and you just have to stop screwing with it so that you can experience it. Now, the sudden school, because it's like it's already there. But the gradual school would be like, maybe you know someone. I mean, Deborah and I both run in like yogi new age circles. So I'm guessing you know someone who's like probably can get into some states. Like you can tell, like, oh, you've experienced some states, and they're still a jerk. Like they're still just mostly a jerk, or they're easily triggered or something like that. That's the developmental part that for me, I'm working on blending experiences of pervasive peace that I might have had in my meditation. And then when my partner says something that sounds like my mom, to go, pervasive peace, instead of just turning into a triggered butthead, right? So that is progress, and it's measurable. This also, okay, one of your reading, I don't necessarily recommend this book, but if you want kind of the evidence for some of these discussions, is a book called Altered Traits, and that's by Goleman and Davidson. And they talk about some of the difference, like in the research on meditation, the difference between stuff that happens when you go into a study and like for 3 days, you learn to follow your breath, certain changes happen in a person. And then there are different changes that happen when you've meditated for 10 years or 6 months. And it actually changes the architecture of your brain. And then in our experience, it also changes the architecture of our experience and our responses to life and things like that. So that's what I would mean by progress. Yeah, able to stay more resourced where it matters, right? And so there becomes a paradox in that, I would say not today so much, but in some facets of our meditative path, it is important that while you're sitting, like abandon all striving and goal seeking. But for today, having the sense of like, I would like to be 18% happier in my life is just fine. Like the whole time you meditate, you're like, calm, God, I want to be happy. Okay, cool. Just sit there wanting to be happy. That's fine. There's no bar until we start to get into some of those wilder, like natural ease, pervasive ego dissolution states. That's where like the paradox of not striving as the way to make progress. That's when we have to deal with that, but we don't really have to deal with it on Earth Element Day. Thank goodness. So hopefully that speaks to your question in a useful way. Okay, do we have any other questions around that method that we just did? Okay, cool. Let me stay hydrated. Sir Gab's a lot here. Needs to replenish the water. Okay, so let's do one little piece of theory and then we'll do a final practice and we'll wrap up and it'll be cool. So drinking water, prioritizing sleep. It sounds like, by way of I just remembered the segue I wanted to make. So let me do that, a natural contrived segue. It sounds like people here did not have too much of a problem with distraction or mind wandering in that practice. Is that a correct impression that I got? Like nobody was really like, whoa, that was a lot of mind wandering, 20 whole minutes, really tired. What do you say, Denise?
I enjoyed it for a little while until my body started to hurt. So I think if I would have had some support on my back, maybe, because I'm a beginner, I'd say pretty much.
Yeah. So, and there's kind of no other way to find out than to try it out. But I'm glad I think at the end that you were reclining.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is you just find the position that's going to work for you. So yeah, that's quite nice. So actually that makes a great segue, because we're going to talk about setting yourself up for success. And partially that means setting up your body. So this goes with earth element meditation. And in the Tibetan schools, the stuff I'm about to spit at you for a second comes from the works of Master Kamala Shila. He wrote a text called The Stages of Meditation. And Longchenpa's actually got a version of this too that I find, okay, don't go on a tangent, Rev Faj. let's keep it to what's essential here. After I meditate, I can get a little loopy and I have to rein myself in. So excited and loopy at the same time. Watch out, y'all. We're doing push-ups after this class and eating a squash or something. So in the stages of meditation, I have very good news for you. If you experienced mind wandering, you're already a level 2 meditator. Oh, yes. In Master Kamala Shila's system, if you're sitting there and you're like, calm, but what about what's my favorite ice cream flavor? Is it the pistachio or is it mint? I have to figure this. Wait, calm. Like if you're doing that, oh, you're a level 2 already. Woohoo! Air high five. Yes, you. Because level 1, technically, I forget the exact name for it, but level 1 is you don't show up to class. So, to get to level 1, all you have to do is to get on the cushion and do a few consistent practices. And, unfortunately, like the gross majority of the population can't get there, right? But we might change that through classes like this. If you knew you didn't have to sit cross-legged, you didn't have to hold your breath, you didn't have to cross your eyes, a lot more people might want to show up and like, wait, it just helps you feel good. Yeah, it just helps you feel good. You can transcend your ego later. Like you could even do that next life. Just start feeling good. Because when you feel good, you'll be nicer to the people around you. Like everyone wins. Okay. So spread the good news. But it's only once you've sat there for a minute that your mind can start worrying. And that's actually already a pretty advanced level. Good to know. Okay, let's go to level 1 though, because level 1's going to take care of a lot of that mind whirling too that we might get into. And level 1 is setting up your posture, setting up your meditation room, setting up your mind, right? This is the earth element aspect, which is create the foundation. And from there, we can do all of this other stuff. We're kind of getting, directing your attention, blah, 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 blah. But the setting yourself up for success is that basic kind of stuff that they'll say if you got a book on this. Find a quiet place. And then you might go, bro, whose house have you been in? Excuse me? And then you have to get into biohacking, right? So what I might say to you is find a quiet place, or if your family believes in Christmas, ask for some noise canceling headphones. Oh yeah. Or like, what's the one I saw on the internet? You do a contest for your kids, which one can draw the best picture of you while you're napping, or something like that. And the winner gets a cupcake or something. We got to hack it so that we can find some of these moments of stability. They say set up a beautiful environment if you can, right? And that doesn't mean like, I won't show you, I've got altars everywhere because I'm into that. I'm an Asian culture, I'm a Sinophile, like a little, I got Tibetan stuff and Chinese stuff, whatever. But it could be a candle, a flower, or the Zen folks, the most Zen culture is a blank, boring wall. Because their thing is like, what's more relaxing than a blank, boring wall, man? You don't want to be distracted by a flower and have to think about how pretty it is. You want to actually relax. So Sinophile, a China-philic, Asian culture philic, right? So the thing is to make it beautiful and relaxing and easeful for you, right? It's the same theme that we're going along with. And then as Denise mentioned, you find the way that's going to support your body for you. Some folks, like if you read the book, they say like, you may not be able to sit up in meditation, so you should go to yoga. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But a lot of the books don't tell you that if you put a cushion under your butt, so your hips are a little higher, it makes it easier for the back to stay upright. If you've never heard that one yet, now let me tell you, put a cushion. So you want your hips at about this angle, right about there, right? What's that, like a 15-degree angle or something like that. And then because your pelvis wants to have a slight anterior pelvic tilt so that the natural curvature of your spine will hold you up. If you don't have the cushion, the pelvis will tilt back, and then your low back has to round out, and then your head's going to go forward, and it's a big bummer. So you might need to go to yoga to get those curves restored in your spine. But you could also lean against the back of your chair or lay down. Or if you want the straight spine experience, you get enough pillows to put so you get a blankie under your butt so your hips are high enough, and then you stack up a bunch of pillows behind you on the couch so there's a backrest, and you just groove, man. That's a good meditation. That feels delicious. And so, because you'll hear people, they're like, you should have get a kitchen chair. You don't want to, no, it's fine. That's good. But you can have cushy comfort stuff that just puts you in position, and it'll be a good meditation because there's something about the spine upright that's really nice, but there's also something about not being in pain that really helps meditation practice. So the trick is you got to find it for you. You got to find it for you. Okay, and then the thing I wanted to mention that is unique to this class, I'm trying to split the difference between having a beginner class where I can tell you everything you need to know to get started, and kind of an advanced class where I get to tell you the stuff I'm really chewing on that's kind of fun. Okay, before you start your journey, because we're talking about meditation, but we're also talking about a secular path of adult spiritual development. That's kind of my jam where I'm at right now. One, what do they call a motivational speaker I heard, he said, always take your meds. And that meant in his speech, meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. Hey. And I wanted to add to this from my experience that it also means your meds if you take those. It also means your meds if you take those. Now, in another class or something, we might talk about social issues of overprescription and blah, 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 blah. But I can tell you from experience with some students of mine, meditation doesn't usually cure schizophrenia. And at other times, it makes it a lot worse. And so if you have some little, what do they use, antipsychotics or something, that's a charged term, but it's just like whatever the chemical is, some brains just need a little chemical, right? And then, and so we're not using meditation in place of these things. Similarly, to my knowledge, I have never seen research that says meditation cures type 1 diabetes. And so you're going to want your insulin. And there's actually, there's a great meditation teacher whose name I'll remember later, but he took part in a study where they tracked what happens subjectively when you deprive a person of insulin, because he volunteered, because his meditation practice allowed him to endure that degree of physical and emotional torment. And so he said, okay, Shenzhen Yang, it's in his the Science of Enlightenment, I think is the name of the audiobook. He presented that in. And so because he needs insulin to survive, and so he signed up to be the one who could witness and note the torment from his years of meditation skill, but it didn't make the torment go away, right? So this I present here, it's kind of normal. It's about this building the foundation, but it's often forgotten if we talk about spiritual things and consciousness things. We tend to come from this Cartesian split where we think like, oh, consciousness is not of the body. And the yogis might say consciousness is not only of the body, but the dualistic divide there, at least on Earth Element Day for beginning meditators. I mean, if you're an enlightened rainbow body, you may have a different experience. But I know for me, okay, here's my lived experience. I've been fasting all day, because that really works for me. If I take a little MCT coconut oil and a couple cups of coffee and I intermittent fast, I don't have any blood sugar crash. It gets a little blissful as the system shifts into ketogenic state later. But if I eat, I need to eat every couple hours or my blood sugar will go wacky and I'll be trying to lead the meditation and zonking off. So this is just something that I know about myself, that if I want to be a good meditation teacher, like I've had this experience, I didn't time my calories right. And before the end of the day, it starts to feel like everybody in the class hates me. It's really weird. And it's because I'm having a blood sugar crash and my brain is interpreting that as like an anxiety attack and it's projecting that on the outside. So I figured out, oh, for me, it doesn't seem to matter how much or what type of meditation I do. I'm either in ketosis or I'm watching my blood sugar. And then we're on an even keel, right? So rather than, now I do have personally, I hope this discussion is interesting and not just personal shares. I'm trying to make a point. Personally, I have like rescue techniques. Like I could do this butterfly hug and be like, hey, calm down, dude. They don't hate you. It's just your blood sugar crashing. But I could have just eaten a banana, right? So when we're on the path of like building the foundation, we want to know, what is this creature, what this little kitty need to be happy, healthy, and whole, if we can. And then we want to build our meditation on that foundation, right? So this is in here: meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. And this is part of the work. Some of you will realize that if you meditate before bed, you won't sleep right. Some of us will recognize that. Others will find, whoa, it wasn't until I started meditating before bed that I learned what a good night's sleep is, right? And that's going to be individual. But I don't recommend at this stage trying to replace sleep with meditation. I did that in my 20s, so you don't have to. Not recommended. Not recommended. Now, the Yoga Nidra, if you have to lose some sleep, put a Yoga Nidra in later in your day. Oh, it's a miracle. But I don't personally recommend attempting to replace your sleep with Yoga Nidra. So we want to build the foundation. And maybe this is kind of boring to you if you're a little more advanced, but in the world of spiritual things and consciousness studies and meditative stuff, you'll find Tibetan Buddhist centers who serve the worst food, the least nutritious stuff, and then go and like try to attain states of consciousness that will save the whole world. And it seems like there's a more efficient way to go about it. Like learn to cook the kale in a way that tastes good. And you'll have enough iron and magnesium that the mind will calm down a little faster with enough magnesium in your system. It's a good deal. So take your meds, take your meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep, and your actual meds if necessary. On the break, my mind was trying to come up with like, take your meds and take your TEDs: therapy, education, dance, and supportive structures in your life, right? I thought, because we could all use a little bit of these kind of things. So yeah, using, can I share this private chat here? It's illustrative. This private chat says, using Yoga Nidra to address insomnia messed with my ability to do seated meditation for a while. Yeah. And it's because we're fiddling with our brain waves. Like Yoga Nidra is going to teach you how to invoke theta and delta brain waves. And then like sometimes the mind doesn't quite shift and adapt. I'll tell you one quick story so we can do our final practices for the day. But part of my inspiration for developing a real kind of curriculum here and spreading, in a lighthearted way is that, like I mentioned with that mantra yoga thing earlier, that really screwed up my life for a number of years. And one of the things I found out recently is that these tantric meditations where you're visualizing, you're doing mantras and stuff like that, the meditations we've been doing today all activate your parasympathetic nervous system, right? They activate, and in the brain scan, they activate these alpha wave patterns. And then the Yoga Nidra ones start to get down into these theta and delta patterns. The tantric meditations where you visualize, you're doing mantras, what we're finding is they activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is sometimes called your stress response, but it's your engagement response. And they bring up the beta wave, the faster, more active brain waves, as well as these gamma waves, which are associated both with deep meditation and psychosis. And sometimes you don't know which one you're going to get. And so it's really interesting that the types of meditations you can do, they start to change the wiring up a little bit, and that can have lasting results. That's not where I wanted to go with this particular discussion, but one of the ways we can help to moderate that is that we're not using kind of the old, before we had as much access to research and different styles of meditation, this old thing of like, meditation is good, spirituality is good, it'll fix what ails you. And we take much more of a mindset that you're going to get your blood work done, perhaps, or you're going to get neurofeedback and see what brain waves are active for you. And we can use the attributes that will make us the healthiest, rather than just kind of doing a one size fits all approach. We can use the different aspects of our life that are going to support us so that our mind can calm down. It's kind of that thing of like, if you meditate and you get more and more disturbed at the world instead of more and more peaceful, like you might just becoming more and more aware of what the world is like. Like there's a lot of unkindness out there. There's a lot of things that one could be disturbed about. And if we can understand how to balance these elements, this is why, a lot of time meditation is balanced with compassionate service. Then that disturbance, because now your heart is all feely, like before it might have not felt so much. Now you have a way to utilize that. So what I want to encourage you for this building the foundation is that we really look at how can we best optimize our integration and our health as a whole person, right? What amount of sleep helps you be your healthiest? What amount or type of meditation helps you to be your healthiest? What dietary practices help you to be your healthiest? And so the last thing I'll say on that for now, in the Tibetan meditation, one of the big preliminaries that you do is clean your room. So they say, if you want to have a good meditation, clean your room. And even if you cleaned it last night, find something to clean up a little bit right before you start. It's really very cool. And I wanted to extend that metaphorically a little bit to clean up your life if you can. Now, a lot of you look like you're already kind of on the path of maturation, but one of the things we don't know is we might have all of this old shadow material in our psyche, and we just didn't want to go to therapy yet for it, or, encounter wilderness camp or whatever it is you do, right? But as a meditation preliminary, classically, it is advised that you clean up your room, but also that you do like 12-step process type of work. You go and you make amends with others, right? 12-step is actually a pretty neat kind of secular path of adult spiritual maturation. There may be some problems in it because it's not necessarily evidence-based, but it was somebody's really best guess at the moment, and it's being developed. But they have these things of like, you find resource. That's that whole higher power deal, right? And you go through and you make amends and you do some surrendering practice. So we can, as we know what attributes we're looking for, we can start to integrate those in a way that helps our integration. Okay, so we're going to do one last practice, and then we will have one last 5-minute chat on how to develop a consistent meditation practice should you want to. And then we'll have done a whole day together. How exciting. So our last practice is going to be a basic abiding practice on the breath. And we're going to use the Yoga Nidra type induction. We're going to do a faster progressive relaxation as a way. What I found in teaching meditation just recently is that we don't have time to do this today, but for a while I would set people up over a couple of weeks. We would do like breath counting meditations, and we would do this one where like you just watch the breath, and if the mind starts to think, you go thinking and you come back to your breath. Very classic stuff. And then after about 4 weeks of that, I took them through a Yoga Nidra, or did the whole progressive relaxation, and then had them do the breath watching at the end. And everybody reported that their mind was just quiet on the breath after doing the relaxation thing. Whereas before, it would be breathe, breathe, fall asleep, breathe, breathe, have a fantasy, breathe, breathe, stress out about something. And so it's a really great tool if we can learn how to shift the body into neutral. We can start to utilize some of these classic meditation techniques in ways that are really going to work for us. And we can jump the line a little bit. A lot of that hardship, oh, you're going to learn to meditate. Well, you better be patient. No, you better learn how to enjoy yourself. My experience has been, and in teaching, if you can really learn how to enjoy yourself, a lot of the fruits of meditation come on a lot faster than we may have even been led to believe. So let's give it a try. We're going to do this sitting up unless you want to lie down or you're so sleepy that you want to stand. So find yourself a seat where you feel supported. We're going to do about a 15-minute practice now. And you could be I'm on my stool upright, but you could be with the back of the chair just fine. Or you could try to put a cushion on your chair so your hips feel upright, so your spine just kind of comes into that simple repose. But just find your way. Okay, and we're going to combine some breath methods similar to how we intoned calm and how we've been using that 2-1 breathing. Let's do a little of this yogic practice called Brahmari or Brahmari. I forget how you pronounce the Sanskrit exactly, but this is the humming breathing meditation. So it sounds like this. I'll show you. You just inhale, and then on your exhale, you and you're just going to hum it out. So let's give it a try for a few rounds with the Brahmari pranayama, humming breath. And feel free to continue that if you like, but I'm going to bring that to a close. And then just notice if that had any effect on you. What do you feel? Do you feel a state change? And we're going to build on the foundation. We've been cultivating relaxation and resource all day. So it's likely that you can drop right in. We'll do a very quick progressive relaxation. So calling to mind that golden ball of light above your head, or whatever imagery might work best for you. And we'll let that light come down into the top of the head and relax it. And even down to the level of your forehead and the same level on the back of the head. Down into your eyebrows and your eyes, relaxing them. Letting your temples relax. The back of the head relax. Letting the muscles of the nose relax and the ears. And even all the way to the base of the skull. Relaxing the lips and the jaw, teeth and the tongue. And then like this golden light begins to flow down into your neck and your throat, relaxing the big shoulder and neck muscles, the little throat muscles, all the way down until it fills up your shoulders, those trapezius muscles and collarbones. Then golden light washing into the shoulder joints themselves, down through the upper arms and into the elbows. Continuing through the forearms, all the way to the wrists, the hands, and the fingers. Then from the neck and shoulders, letting this golden light come down through the chest and the upper back. And moving down through your rib cage and mid-spine. And even into the abdomen. And the pelvis. The low back and the sacrum relaxing. Letting this golden light flow into your hips. Down through the upper thighs, mid thighs, knees. And even relaxing down through your legs. Through those calf muscles and shin bones. All the way down to the ankle and the heel. And even into your foot and your toes. And like we did before, feeling the earth and gravity below you. And it's like any remaining tension can flow out through the feet, down and into the earth. Releasing, releasing, releasing. Then letting your awareness rest on your lower belly. See if you can feel your breath moving in the lower belly. As you inhale, what parts of the lower belly move? And as you exhale, what parts of the lower belly move? Continuing in this way, if it's no problem for you to feel the breath down here in your lower belly, and continuing to rest the mind there. But if you needed to, you could watch the breath anywhere you feel your breath flowing. We're going to take a few minutes just resting awareness on the breath. And check your mind. If need be, just bring it back to savoring the breath. And then letting that go. For a moment, just notice your experience. You might notice changes in your awareness, your body, or your breath. Just notice the very fact of noticing, being with mind itself. Then inviting your mind to transition from any deep states you might have entered into. Encourage the breath to deepen a little bit. And let your awareness float back up from this very internal space back toward a more conventional and conversational space. When you're ready, you can let your eyes open if they were closed, maybe move a little bit. Oh, and we'll complete our final session for the day. Okay, how's that feel? Groovy? Excellent. So, was that relaxing to focus on the breath? What do you say? That was the last method that we integrated. You may have reached level 3 or 4 now, which is watch out for lethargy and agitation. So in Kamala, I know. So if you were lethargic or agitated, you're a level 3, 4 meditator now, all in the course of one day. Whoa, right? You bypassed level 1 just by showing up. That's nice. You made it all the way to mind wandering. And then once you start to restrain, they call it like gross mind wandering, starts to calm down. Then you get the subtle movements of the mind, which are, oh, watch the breath, or watch the breath. And there's still, you're not actively thinking, you didn't shift totally, but you're still like, like somebody's talking in the next room, but you can keep the breath. So welcome to level 3, y'all. And you may be there for a while. You may peak experience some other deeper levels and then stay at level 3 most, so it's fun. That's a different map, but just to bring in a little cuteness. But did anybody notice the ability to just settle the mind on the breath and have that be relaxing, restorative? Excellent. That makes 2 of us. What else did you notice? How was that for you, anyone?
I was
Good.
having
Everyone's good.
ribbons of thought. And they were rather rando. They were just, like you said, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then poof. And
Yeah.
then I started to see color. So I don't know what the hell.
Mm-hmm. And that's a kind of a more advanced class, but both of those things in the deep philosophy of like Tibetan meditation is that as the system relaxes, if you don't react to the interior stimulus, and that would be thoughts come up and you either go, nope, don't want to think about that, or, oh, hey, cool, I'm going to think about that. Then things just percolate out and they're just old tensions of the mind and they'll subside on their own. And then after you do that, because the mind doesn't have anything to do, it creates new stimulus in the form of like inner hallucinations and stuff, and inner tones and colors and things like that. So that's where different mystical schools have different opinions. Like if you were with a Christian mystic, for example, and you're like, oh, I saw this brilliant light, like they might say, oh yeah, that's the Holy Spirit. Whereas if you were with a Zen Buddhist, they might go, oh yeah, stop hallucinating, get back to work. And both are right, but it's a matter of how are you going to use it. So for us, thank you for mentioning that, because the one thing I forgot to say was, it's not that you are going to stop thinking and just feel your breath. The thoughts will still happen, but we're using the foregrounding muscle of the mind. So we're just foregrounding the breath, foregrounding a sense of relaxation. And the training of that is meditation. So the enjoyment of that we could call meditation, and the whole process of enjoying it and not enjoying it and working hard and then chilling out, all of that is the path of meditation. So quite fun.
It wasn't quite a hallucination. It was more of a soft, diffuse, pulsing light.
Yeah.
And it could have just been the computer screen through my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. But in Zen tradition, what I'm saying, hallucination, it's a technical term for anything that comes up that's not your meditation object. And so they use it especially when we have like, because you can have like deity visions that just to normal people, you're just sitting there meditating. I was like, oh, whoa, nice. Oh, that was cool. Or you'll have insights, and for some of us, we say, oh no, go ahead, write that down in your journal and then get back to your seat. And then in other schools are like, okay, cool, that's great. If it's worth anything, it'll come back. Just ignore it. It'll go away. And yeah, there's a longer discussion on that, but we could think about what we're learning to do is we're learning to foreground. And so there's kind of a yes and of like, oh, whoa, I figured it out. Okay, cool. And is this your inhale or your exhale? And we're learning to create that earth element stability even when we're inspired, because the good news is that if you can do that when you're being really inspired, you can do it when you're depressed or when you're being flooded or triggered. You have that like, oh no, there's something here that's solid, even amidst all of these changing apparitions. That's a great place to finish our Earth Element Day on. Let me tell you the last piece of teaching, and I have just 3 minutes to do it. How perfect, which is how to develop your meditation practice. So some of you have done this work before and are still doing it. Some of you need to do this work all over again, and some of you can do this from scratch. But what I suggest after teaching meditation for a number of years is start small. This is the best advice. And we want to think things grow from seeds. So grow your meditation like a seed. Make good soil for it. And what I suggest to everybody is also, though, you want to do as much as you can consistently. So for most people, I recommend 10 minutes 3 times a week. 10 minutes 3 times a week. And that's for beginners. If you've already accomplished that much, then you work with where you're at. But then if the beginner says to me, like, is that enough? That doesn't seem like very much. Then I say, okay, try it. And if you do that successfully for 3 weeks, start adding a little more, right? But for a lot of us, when we try to do it consistently, we realize how difficult that can be. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 p.m., I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. Can be quite challenging. So what you want is you want to be doing it in a way that you're habituating feeling good. And that means do a little less than you can. Because one of the challenges can be if you try to do 20 minutes 5 times a week, which is pretty approachable for a lot of folks. If it takes strain to do so, one of the things you'll be habituating into your awareness is strain. You'll be making a habit of associating getting on the cushion, meditation cushion, and then clenching up a little bit. And if we can, we want to associate, get on the cushion and feel good, and then go about your business. And then, oh, Wednesday already? Is it time for me to feel good? Finally. That's like my new episode of The Rings of Power is out or whatever, but it's meditation, right? It's Friday, 10 minutes of heaven. And when you've got that, that's when you start to increase it. This is my advice. So if you're starting your meditation practice, or maybe you're an advanced person and you meditate every morning and you want to add an evening session, well, then add 3 evenings for 10 minutes at a time. See how you do, and see if even in that you can get into using the foregrounding muscle or the savoring muscle and not the willpower muscle. We'll use the willpower muscle later, but this is earth element, and just do it for this month. See if you want to integrate. Maybe you just want to integrate the 2-to-1 breath at 1 time a day. That's enough, man. That'll change your consciousness. So take a month and just integrate it and see what happens by the end of the month. Yeah, consistency is easier in a group setting. And so that might be, for our little map, that might be part of take your meds and your TEDs, right? TEDs is therapy, education, dance, and support structures, right? So we're social beings. Do you need to create a Sangha? That's one of my weak spots. Having a consistent group that meets and meditates, can't do that. I can give you one a month. um, for community building, but there are sanghas that exist, or you could make one. Be like, I can't teach meditation, but we're going to sit for 24 minutes every Saturday or something like that. And so that would be, instead of trying to willpower, some of us, like we would try to do meditation on our own and never succeed, or find a group doing it at the yoga studio and have success already happen without trying. These are the fun kind of things that when we become pleasure activists, pleasure advocates on the spiritual path, we get access to. So those are all of the things on my agenda to tell you for Earth Element Day. And hopefully we got some good experience meditating together too. I don't know about you, I always find my experiences deeper when we do it in these groups, even online. For some reason, my meditations drop 30% deeper. So I'm grateful for you showing up in that way. Is there anything else that you would like to say while we're in official class time? I'll also leave the Zoom room open for like 5 minutes after, but any just quick questions or housekeeping before we finish up officially? Okay. Then in that spirit, if you wouldn't mind, let's do a little dedication. Just think of how you'd like all the time we spent today to benefit you. And like you could soak that in, like, may it do so. May I develop a consistent practice if that's what you want. Or may I just learn to love myself and not practice at all. And I want to do that coffee meditation thing, whatever it is, may it seep in and benefit you. And then if you like, if it feels good, imagine it radiating out, benefiting those you love the most, maybe the other people in this Zoom room, maybe the people on your block or in your state or country or planet. And some of us believe this happens in a metaphysical way, and it'll also happen in a tangible way, that the calm you've generated becomes a resource that is going to wash and spread from you into the world. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, what day is next month's class, Deborah? Because we've got October 15th. Thank you. So if you would like to meditate again, water element, it's going to be a whole different take on meditation, but based on this one, the earth holds the water. Oh, metaphorical, mythical. And so it's a chance to go a little deeper, or also kind of horizontally, just learn a different facet of meditation, practice together. Enjoy my jokes if you do, or not if you don't, and tune them out or however you can. And that's what we've got going, October 15th. And then the rest of the dates are listed on that site somewhere that I made for you. The recording should be up in a day or two. And so you can review, you can meditate along if you like, and feel free, if you know someone who would benefit from this course, feel free to send them via that little landing page, however you signed up for this, because this is an all is welcome, just kind of, if you benefit from it, then come. So the end. Thank you so much.